Welcome back, everyone, to another episode of Nut Busting Garage. We're going to be sitting here working on the good old Black 240 today that's got the SR20 swap. I don't think I have any content out where you guys got to see this thing go in, and it does fire up and run. But we'll get more into that later. We're going to be installing our mid-mount intercooler setup, and we got to get some fabrication done for this. I have all the parts and everything to knock this out, so enough with the jibber jatter, and let's get fabricating, guys. Let's go! I got two things for you. We've updated our camera, and we've updated our audio, so I really hope that this changed the quality of the video. Please leave a comment and tell me how this is, if this is better than the previous videos, or if I'm going backwards, man. Let me know if there's issues with the sound quality and things like that. The second thing is, we need to get the intercooler mounted because we're going to be doing the cold side and the hot side for the intercooler. We got to fabricate that. So we're going to have to get the radiator remounted so we can see our clearances that we have here. I've already done a lot of work here. I've gone ahead and done some clearance already in the past here. We hole sawed out around this, okay? And we hole sawed here and got some clearance. I want to sit here where I'm going to keep talking to you guys is we're going to go ahead and get this get the process started. Also, we have cast 90s so we can get that radius to fit this intercooler. This is like, I believe, about the largest intercooler that I could fit in there unless I custom made one, and I'm not going to custom make one. So all right, let's go ahead and use a little YouTube magic. Here we go. It's all back together, and now you guys can see got radiator, condenser, intercooler. Said unless you go custom, or you could find maybe something else that's about the biggest intercooler you can fit, doing it this way and retain as much as you can. So the whole point of this, to mock this up, was to see this. So you can see we gotta shorten this, so we're gonna have to cut this back and fit it, and then tack it on and test fit this side. So you can see here I have the condenser all clearanced in here. Okay, it's all clearanced. I clearanced the radiator. I did the same thing on the other side too, over on the passenger side. But it's the same distance. All right, we got to take about the same amount from this side. So I'm gonna set you guys up for a time lapse. Alright guys, so as you saw from that time lapse, I know I didn't say anything ahead of time, but I needed to build some spacers. So by the end of that, you probably realized that I built it a thread end spacer that allows me to still put a bolt in through the top, but then spaces down the intercooler. So let me show you really quick. So as you can see here, here's the spacer. So it just threads right in. It gives me the space that I need. And the reason I needed this is because the bolts, when I was putting them in, I've never like bottomed it out because there's a harness that runs across the top of here, and you don't want that harness. I don't want to pinch that harness. So I figured in the end it was just easier to just make these spacers. These thread in, I'll put Loctite on them so they'll want to stay in the intercooler, and then all I have to do is just tighten down the top side. So now I can get some shorter bolts, get this thrown in here, and get this actually properly mounted in the car. And once it's properly mounted in the car, we can go ahead and build the bottom bracket to the intercooler. And then once the bottom bracket is built, then we can actually mark and clock the cast 90s, and then we can tack those on, because everything's going to stay in a place at that point in time. It's not going to move anywhere. So anyways, let's go ahead and get this back on the car, and we'll see how it all tightens up and fits and see what we're going to do next. And I whipped up some brackets for the bottom of the intercooler mount. I went ahead and I forgot to film doing this, but it'll mount there. This one's going to mount here. We'll drill a hole through it into the support, then take them back off. We'll throw in a nutsert into the body of the car, and then we can fully bolt it in and then make sure everything fits, and then we'll take it back off, paint our brackets, and then get them reinstalled after they're dry. But for mock-up purposes, so we can keep going, I'll wait until tonight to paint those so they can dry overnight, so that way we can go ahead and start getting the cast elbows welded on to the intercooler and keep this process going to where we can move on. Gotten the intercooler mounted. As you can see, it's on there. It's sturdy. So remember, we did the spacers up here, and we've spaced the intercooler down, so that way we can clear our wiring and our harness that's stuck up above it, right? So we don't end up damaging it. We can go ahead and move on to mocking up the cast aluminum elbows, and we'll get those marked with a Sharpie, both sides. We'll get the elbows on, mark them, tack them, and see where we're at next. So as you saw from the time lapse, I have everything tacked in on the intercooler. So what we got going on here is, you can see we got the extensions on, they're mounted, everything's clocked. I tacked these on a little bit better, so that way they won't move after I made sure they were all in the right spot, because I only did one tack right here the first time, so that way I could twist them just a little bit, and then I tacked them in the second time in the back, so that way they don't move. But you could see I got clearance. This one's got plenty of room around it, so I'm gonna go ahead and elbow thrown on here, cut this pipe to length, and roll the bead so this side's finalized. Before I fully weld it out, I want everything to be laid out. In case I need to make any changes, then I can go ahead and make them without, wasting all that time with all the welds. I can just cut the tacks. So I'd like to have everything laid out. So, and we're gonna work on getting the hot side finished and finalized, and then we'll move on to getting the cold side mocked up, so that way we can get it tacked together and know that it's all right. All right, so I'm mocking up the cold side right now, and I was sitting here messing with the different boots that I had, And as you can see here, like I got a 45 here and a straight on here. Just was messing with the different ones, and as you can see here, like is it looks like if I just cut this off where I got that black line right there, and that makes this pipe. All I got to do is just cut it to length and bead roll that, and it's done. The only other thing that I'll need to do is the IAC needs to tie into this. So I'm gonna have to drill a hole and weld on a pipe for this to connect, which I got. All right, updates. So bad at filming at times. Got our cold side. I was able to just trim up this 45 a little bit. I made that one piece work. I went ahead and already drilled my hole and tacked this on. This was just a straight piece. We've already got the bead rolled on this. It's cut to length. And then yeah, this I didn't have to weld any pieces other than just weld this on. So this was cut to length and just bead rolled it. I have just this Woodward Fab sheet metal bead roller. Just cheat the system a little bit. I saw a trick online. You can use that to bead roll pipe. Anyways, the next thing is I will remember, we'll get the camera set up and it's going to be a time lapse of just welding, finalize welding everything.